The basketball world thrives on passion and grit, and for those who have seen it from the court's hard, shining surface to the strategic sidelines, emotions can run high when loyalty gets challenged. The recent clash between Sheryl Swoopes and Stephanie White, sparked by Christie's side's surprising job departure, embodies this intensity in full. Swoopes, a name that evokes fierce competition and the groundbreaking evolution of women's basketball, is no stranger to standing up for what she believes in. When she felt sides had been unjustly pushed aside, she spoke with the same determination she once used to lead teams to victory. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Sheryl Swoopes, an icon with 3 NBA MVP titles and an Olympic gold medal-winning career, has always been more than just a player. She's a guardian of the game's integrity. Swoopes' voice, sharp and unyielding, found its target in Stephanie White, the coach who stepped in as side's successor. While coaching decisions come and go, and the carousel of hirings and firings is no novelty in sports, this particular incident hit a nerve. For Swoopes, it was about respect, the overlooked recognition of effort, and the abruptness that made the shift feel wrong. The public stage was set, and Swoopes didn't hold back. Swoopes' grievances weren't shouted from the rafters. They were articulated with the precision she displayed on the court, calculated and impactful. She made sure her disappointment was felt by addressing how the change unfolded. Christie Sides had poured herself into coaching, a steady hand who earned the trust of players and fans alike. To Swoopes, Sides was more than capable, having proven her understanding of the game and her ability to lead. The sudden pivot to Stephanie White, a respected coach in her own right, but not without her detractors, seemed in Swoopes' view abrupt and dismissive of Sides' tenure. This isn't the first time Swoopes has been protective of those who make their mark quietly but firmly. She's known for advocating not just for marquee players, but for the individuals who weave the fabric of a successful team. Her reaction hinted at the years she spent battling for every win, and how that shaped her sense of fairness and loyalty. The speed of Sides' exit and White's appointment felt to Swoopes like a cheap shot, a play drawn up too quickly without the team's input. It was as if a key player was benched without notice, leaving a sting of confusion among onlookers. Stephanie White, meanwhile, entered the picture with her usual composed demeanor. White has a coaching career dotted with achievements and challenges, a former NBA player herself who transitioned smoothly into leadership roles. Her coaching style leans into a sharp tactical approach, appealing to those who appreciate strategic depth. But Swoopes' public stance cast a shadow over this transition. Pointing fingers at whether White's hiring was a calculated move that disregarded the legacy and groundwork laid by Sides. The situation simmered with undertones that basketball fans know well: the balance between innovation and loyalty. Swoopes' vocal frustration underscored a recurring theme in sports: the value of continuity versus the allure of change. Sides' departure wasn't just a professional shift, it became a moment charged with loyalty debates, leaving fans to pick sides between the unwavering old guard and those open to new leadership. The narrative became more complex as fans and analysts weighed in. Some saw Swoopes' reaction as emotional but justified, a rallying cry that put principles over politics. Others considered it a resistance to change, an old-school view that didn't fully grasp the competitive shifts that sometimes require sudden decisions. Yet, for anyone who followed Swoopes' career, it was clear that her outburst was less about resisting change and more about resisting what she perceived as a betrayal of trust. The basketball community, from locker rooms to comment sections, buzzed with comparisons and whispered judgments. Discussions of past coaching changes resurfaced, memories of locker room politics, and the sharp sting that comes when transitions don't feel earned. Even those familiar with White's disciplined approach had to admit that the way it all went down was sudden, stirring a familiar discomfort. Swoopes, never one to let a message fizzle, subtly doubled down. She didn't stage press conferences or tweet endless threads. She allowed her pointed comments to ripple through interviews and discussions, knowing that those who knew her story would understand the deeper message. Swoopes' voice became a call to remember the long hours, quiet coaching moments, and the shared struggles behind closed doors that never make it into stat sheets or headlines. Stephanie White, however, approached her new role with a focus that spoke to her resilience. Stepping into a job clouded by controversy isn't easy, but White's history showed she could navigate rough starts. As she started setting up her strategy for the season, the echoes of Swoopes' commentary added a layer of intrigue to her plans. White wasn't just taking over a team. She was stepping into a conversation already tinged with doubt and skepticism. The playbook might have been fresh, but the court she was standing on was well-trodden and weighed down by legacies. Sheryl Swoopes' directness, meanwhile, highlighted a truth that resonates beyond the sports world. Loyalty and abrupt shifts rarely mix well. The industry has seen its share of surprising firings and sudden promotions, but those moments don't always pass without leaving a trail of questions. Swoopes' critique wasn't just noise. It was a reminder of how the game isn't just what happens during the four quarters, but what happens between them, on benches, in locker rooms, and in the unglamorous day-to-day coaching grind. In the days that followed, the buzz around this incident didn't just fade, it spread. Fans of sides voiced their dismay, pointing out how the coach had been instrumental in stabilizing team morale. Players with shared experiences knew the sting of seeing a familiar, steady leader be replaced without what seemed like fair process. White supporters reminded others that her past coaching stints weren't without reason, that she brought her own methodical approach to teams looking for a competitive edge. What lingered most in Swoopes' pointed statements was the echo of experience. Having battled through seasons where every play and decision felt personal, she wasn't about to see what she perceived as a quick brush-off without stepping up. It wasn't the win-loss columns or the accolades that were at stake. It was about how the sport, with its tight-knit community, holds on to trust and mutual respect. And when that trust gets shaken, it's not just a news headline. It's a deep shift that everyone feels, from players to the loyal fan with decades of ticket stubs. Stephanie White now had the ball, so to speak. The scrutiny on her was sharper, not only from the stands but from voices as respected as Swoopes. The challenge she faced wasn't just leading a team, but mending the underlying question of fairness that trailed her into the gym. Swoopes' commentary had shifted the narrative, ensuring that each of White's choices would be measured against more than just game strategy. They'd be weighed against the fairness and respect that the basketball world watched closely. Swoopes' candidness reminded everyone that basketball is as much about legacy as it is about innovation. Her words weren't meant to just stir controversy, but to spark reflection about how sudden changes affect everyone involved. It was a reminder that those who built their careers on sweat and unrelenting dedication don't easily forget when they feel sidelined or see others pushed aside without proper acknowledgement. The story had layers that went beyond Swoopes' critique or White's position. It was about how transitions are handled and how the game continues to uphold its stories. Swoopes may not have been looking for validation in her statements, but she found it in the way people resonated with her frustration. Christie's sides, though quieter in the aftermath, became an emblem for unsung leaders who faced abrupt endings. In an industry where winning is everything, loyalty often becomes an overlooked sideline factor. The exchange between Swoopes' passionate defense of sides and White's commitment to proving herself highlighted this tension. It set the stage for how the upcoming season would be watched, not just for scores, but for who showed up for whom and how shifts were respected or not. Swoopes' reaction was a small earthquake in a sport that thrives on big plays. It was a reminder that every game is connected to the people who make it possible and the stories that unfold behind those iconic whistles and buzzer beaters. Side's story might have taken a sudden pause, but Swoopes' words made sure it wasn't erased or forgotten. For Stephanie White, stepping into a new role under this scrutiny became more than a challenge. It became a testament to how history doesn't just watch, it responds.